Hey LA4, we're going to do a quick little tutorial on how to use figurative language while you're writing your Moments That Matter narrative, okay? So I need for you to grab your notebook and turn to page 20 to the handout that you should have received on Friday the 16th if you were a purple kid, or on Monday the 19th if you're a gold kid, okay? So grab that notebook, turn to page 20, and we'll get started. Okay, so I know a lot of you know what figurative language is and you've used it before, but I just wanted to give you a little refresher and to try to encourage you guys to use things that are maybe outside your comfort zone. So I'm going to talk about three kinds of figurative language that I know you guys know how to use and you probably use it a lot. So let's take a look at them. The first one is a simile. And with a simile, you're going to compare two things, remember, using like or as. So, for example, if you were talking about maybe your essays about running a race or how you got involved in cross country or something like that. So maybe you would say, my legs felt like jelly when I finished running. So you're comparing legs to jelly using like or as. So you're making that connection. A metaphor is the same thing. It's a comparison, but you're not using like or as. You're just saying one thing is something else. For example, instead of saying my legs felt like jelly, you just say my legs were jelly. You're still comparing legs to jelly, but you're using the word were instead of like. Okay, personification. You're giving a non-human thing human characteristics. Oops, that is a really long word, isn't it? Okay, so personification could be something like, my toes cried out in pain at the end of the race. Well, toes don't cry, right? So toes are the non-human thing, but crying out makes them sound human. So that would show your reader how much your toes were really hurting by the end of the race. Okay. Now, there are three that, that whole list, there are 25 figurative language examples on that list, but I want to show you three that you might be able to use. So the first one is called a euphemism, and a euphemism's job is to take the place of something of, let's see, how do I want to say this? Of some unkind or kind of awkward word. Okay, so if you look at this example, it says, my best friend Joey was a little vertically challenged, so he wasn't a likely basketball player. So Joey sounds like he's short, but maybe we don't want to call him short. Maybe instead we call him a little vertically challenged, and that still gets across the point. So that's a euphemism for short. Some of you might think, oh yeah, it's kind of like political correctness. Yeah, in a way. So when your audience maybe doesn't want to hear those kinds of words, then maybe you could use what's called a euphemism, where you take the place of those words. All right, the next one is called juxtaposition. It's such a fun word to say also. So juxtaposition is the combining of opposites. So an oxymoron is when you take two words like side by side that are opposites. But a juxtaposition, you can bring that out in a whole sentence. So it's when you combine opposites. So here's a sentence. When I opened my eyes in the middle of the night, everything seemed so bright I couldn't see. So night tells us that things should be dark, right? But we juxtapose it with this word bright, and it makes it more intriguing. So night, we picture darkness. Bright, we picture light. And so it was so bright that they couldn't see. So that's another juxtaposition. So combining of opposites. Another one that you can try is called an apostrophe. And an apostrophe is when you talk to an inanimate object. I catch myself talking to my Chromebook all the time. So an apostrophe is when you talk to something that is not human, or if it is human, you know they're not listening, or maybe they might be passed on or something to that effect. So it's like you're talking to something that you know cannot reply to you. So an apostrophe could be used in dialogue. Remember, you have to use dialogue. So the easy way to remember how an apostrophe or what it is that usually you got quotation marks with it. And what's a quotation mark but two apostrophes put together? Okay, so here's an example. It says, "Ah, you worthless skateboard," I yelled, slamming the deck on the banister and breaking it in half. So we're talking to the skateboard, calling it worthless. So that's an apostrophe, talking to an inanimate object. We know that skateboard's not going to listen. Okay, and then the last one, I know you guys know what onomatopoeia is, but gosh, you can use it in a really cool way with your sensory details. So if you want, especially with sound. So if you want your audience, your reader, to really get a picture of what you're writing about, then you can use onomatopoeia. So here are some examples. Crack. We heard the stick snap to our left and the rustle of leaves and the whoosh of the wind. So those words sound like the things that they're supposed to be, right? Crack, snap, rustle, and whoosh. So those will help you if you're trying to get across a sound to your readers. Okay, so here are just what we got, 7 different examples of figurative language, but there are 25 on the handout on page 20 of your notebook. So your job is to try to incorporate at least one of them. If you have the chance to do more, by all means, take it. That just makes your writing all that much stronger. All right, my LA4 friends, go back to your draft of your moments that matter and try to incorporate some figurative language. All right, peace out.